Picture a dimly lit courtroom, every eye fixed on one woman, Christine Brown. For TLC fans, she is the symbol of liberation, the woman who dared to walk away from the heavy chains of polygamy and begin a new chapter. But in this imagined courtroom, Christine is not the hero of her own story. She is on trial. The central question is chilling. Was her escape about freedom, or was it a carefully staged act of revenge? On social media, Christine radiates joy. She beams alongside her new husband, every photograph capturing the bliss of a fairy tale ending. But behind those glowing images, critics and alleged insiders whisper about something darker, a calculated plan to reshape the sister wives' world forever. They argue that Christine didn't just leave Cody, she detonated a chain reaction, forcing the other wives to confront their own marriages and loyalties. The prosecution's first piece of evidence, the infamous label, the basement wife. For years, Christine was relegated to the shadows, dismissed, her opinions ignored, her worth diminished. This humiliation carved deep scars into her identity, fueling the fire that would one day ignite her rebellion. What the world saw as resilience may, in this courtroom, be reframed as resentment long in the making. But the real twist comes with the wedding invitation theory. Sources claim Christine deliberately invited Cody and Robyn to her wedding, knowing full well how explosive the gesture would be. Robyn's alleged reaction, panic and tears, paints the picture of someone who believed it was a setup. According to whispers, her texts to Cody were frantic. She knows we can't go. The media will devour us. This is a trap, Cody. Whether fact or speculation, the theory strikes a chord. If true, Christine's wedding wasn't just a celebration of love, it was a strategic chess move in a long, silent war. The defense, of course, paints Christine differently. They argue she endured years of neglect, survived emotional abandonment, and ultimately chose life over despair. They frame her as a survivor who finally claimed her worth, not a schemer bent on revenge. Yet, as the gavel echoes in this imaginary courtroom, one truth becomes undeniable. Christine Brown's story is more than a tale of romance. It is a battleground of interpretations, a clash between empowerment and provocation. Here at the AMAR Sister Wives, we don't deliver verdicts. We examine the evidence, expose the whispers, and let you decide. Is Christine the heroine of her own story? Or is she the architect of the Browns' downfall? The jury is still out. The courtroom grows silent as the next piece of evidence is introduced, the so-called Plexus Pact. At first glance, it was nothing more than a side hustle. Christine and Janelle promoting health supplements online. But in the eyes of the prosecution, this partnership wasn't about fitness or financial independence. It was a lifeline, a secret escape route designed to fund Christine's eventual breakaway. The theory goes like this. Years before Christine ever packed her bags, she and Janelle quietly built a parallel economy, independent of Cody's control. Their Plexus business was more than just vitamins. It was a declaration of independence. Money, after all, is power. And in plural marriage, power had always rested with Cody. By creating their own stream of income, Christine and Janelle were writing the first lines of their freedom story. Insiders allege that late-night calls between the two women weren't just about product sales. They were strategy sessions. Janelle, the pragmatic one, and Christine, the emotional fighter, weaving together a financial net that would catch them both when the inevitable fall came. The prosecution frames this as premeditation, evidence that Christine's exit wasn't spontaneous heartbreak, but a carefully plotted operation. The defense, however, counters with compassion. They argue that Christine and Janelle had every right to seek independence. After years of emotional neglect, why wouldn't they create something of their own? To call it a conspiracy is to dismiss their resilience. To paint it as revenge is to ignore their need for survival. In this telling, the Plexus business was not a pact of war but a tool of empowerment. Yet, the timing cannot be ignored. As Christine's marriage to Cody unraveled, her Plexus business thrived. When she walked out the door, she didn't leave empty-handed. She left with a financial foundation, a support system, and Janelle at her side. To critics, this looked less like coincidence and more like choreography. Robyn's name surfaces again here, according to whispers. She viewed the Plexus venture as a threat from the very beginning. Her alleged conversations with Cody framed Christine and Janelle as rebels, undermining family unity. Some even speculate Robyn feared the business could expose her own financial reliance on Cody, a sharp contrast to the independence Christine and Janelle were quietly building. And then there is Meri, conspicuously absent from the Plexus equation. Was she excluded, or did she choose to stay loyal to Cody? The silence of her role only deepens the mystery, leaving room for interpretation. By the end of this chapter, the courtroom is divided. Was the Plexus Pact an innocent business venture turned lifeline, or was it a calculated move in Christine's long game of quiet resistance? Here at the AMAR Sister Wives, we pull back the curtain not to condemn, but to question. Every dollar earned, every post shared, every shake sold. Was it about health and hustle, or was it about freedom and revenge? The gavel strikes again. The jury must decide. The courtroom lights dim once more, and this time, all eyes shift to another key figure in the Sister Wives saga, Janelle Brown. She enters, not as the fiery rebel or the public face of defiance, but as the quiet, pragmatic force who has long played the role of stabilizer. Yet in this trial of narratives, the question emerges, was Janelle merely a supportive friend to Christine, or was she a co-conspirator? A strategist working in the shadows to weaken Cody's hold. For years, Janelle was seen as the rational one, the wife who avoided drama, who stayed out of the spotlight, who focused on work and practicality, while others fought for Cody's attention. But behind the calm exterior, cracks had begun to form. As Christine grew increasingly vocal about her discontent, Janelle did not silence her. Instead, she listened, she sympathized, and according to some, she quietly joined Christine's side. The Plexus Pact was the first public clue of their alliance, but the deeper evidence lies in the personal choices Janelle made. She began spending more time with Christine, appearing in social media posts that radiated solidarity. Fans noticed how naturally the two women seemed to fit together, as if their friendship was more than casual bonding. It was survival. Prosecutors, in this imagined trial, argue that Janelle's loyalty was not passive. They frame her as the strategist, the one who kept the plan grounded while Christine provided the emotional fire together. They balanced each other. Christine, the voice of rebellion, Janelle, the architect of logistics. Without Janelle's steady support, Christine's exit may not have been possible. But the defense pushes back. They describe Janelle as a woman caught between impossible choices. She wasn't plotting against Cody. She was simply prioritizing her own happiness and stability. Her bond with Christine, they argue, was not about scheming, but about shared pain. Both women knew what it meant to feel unseen, undervalued, and overshadowed in Cody's hierarchy. Their friendship was born not of conspiracy, but of necessity. Then comes the testimony of the children. Janelle's kids, especially those close to Christine, became another layer of connection. Family gatherings revealed an unspoken alliance with Christine and Janelle standing together, while Robyn and Cody appeared increasingly isolated. To critics, this looked like the makings of a silent rebellion. To supporters, it was simply two mothers choosing unity over division. And what of Cody? His frustration with Janelle grew over time, his trust fraying as he accused her of siding with Christine. In one memorable moment, his words revealed the fracture. "You're choosing her over me." Whether true or not, the accusation stuck. It painted Janelle as someone who had crossed an invisible line from neutrality into defiance. As the gavel strikes at the end of this chapter, the jury is left with a dilemma. Was Janelle the silent juror standing loyally by Christine's side, or was she the strategist who made Christine's bold departure possible? Here at the AMAR Sister Wives, we leave that verdict to you. What is clear, however, is that without Janelle's loyalty, the sister wives story might have unfolded very differently. The court rests, but the whispers grow louder. The courtroom hushes once again. This time, the witness called to the stand does not shout, does not accuse, does not even defend. She is the embodiment of silence, a presence heavy with everything left unsaid. Meri Brown. For decades, Meri was the first wife, the cornerstone of Cody's plural marriage. Yet in the end, she became little more than a shadow, a figure tolerated, but rarely embraced, visible but rarely valued. And in this imagined trial she takes on a new role, not as accuser, not as defender, but as the silent juror whose mere existence speaks volumes. The prosecution points to Meri as the ultimate cautionary tale. Her silence is not neutrality, they argue, but evidence of what happens when loyalty becomes submission. She stood by Cody even as affection evaporated, even as her role diminished to a technicality. To them, her lack of defiance becomes proof of Christine's courage. Christine acted where Meri could not. Christine's rebellion is framed against Meri's haunting stillness. The defense, however, spins it differently. They argue Meri's silence is not weakness, but dignity. She chose not to lash out, not to humiliate her family publicly. Her restraint, in this telling, is a form of strength, a refusal to add fuel to an already blazing fire. Where Christine wielded her voice like a weapon, Meri wielded her silence like a shield. Yet silence itself can be damning. In family interviews, Meri often appeared composed but distant, her words polite but stripped of warmth. When asked about Christine's new life, her responses were supportive on the surface. But observers noted a chilling lack of emotion. To some, this came across as bitterness wrapped in civility. To others, it was simply exhaustion, the weariness of someone who had long stopped fighting. Robyn's shadow looms heavily in Meri's chapter. Once Christine and Janelle distanced themselves, Meri aligned more closely with Robyn, though never fully embraced. Critics suggest Robyn tolerated Meri more than bonded with her, keeping her close as a token of loyalty while offering little in return. In this courtroom narrative, Meri becomes the ghost at the feast, always present, never celebrated, a reminder of what polygamy cost each wife in different ways. Cody himself delivers the harshest testimony about Meri, often dismissing the possibility of reconciliation, describing their relationship as broken beyond repair. His words stripped Meri of hope, casting her permanently in the role of an outsider in her own marriage. And yet, she stayed. Was that loyalty, denial, or simply fear of life beyond Cody? As the gavel strikes, the courtroom is unsettled. Meri has not spoken much, but her silence echoes louder than any testimony heard before. She is not the protagonist of this drama, nor its villain. She is the quiet reminder of what happens when voices are stifled, when love fades but bonds remain unbroken. Here at the AMAR Sister Wives, we recognize Meri's silence for what it truly is, a haunting presence that forces us to ask, what if? What if she had walked away like Christine? What if she had fought like Janelle? What if silence was her only way of surviving? The jury cannot ignore the ghost at this feast. The courtroom reaches its final session. The air is heavy, not just with testimony, but with the weight of broken families and fractured trust. The last witnesses called are not the wives, not Cody, not Robyn. They are the children, the living embodiment of choices made, alliances formed, and wounds carried forward. Their voices are the most complicated of all. Some children stand firmly with Christine, praising her courage and embracing her new chapter. To them, she is not a rebel, but a survivor who taught them to demand respect and happiness. They see her wedding, her smiles, and her independence as proof that love can exist beyond Cody's authority. But others remain loyal to their father. They speak of him as a man under siege, misunderstood and unfairly vilified. To them, Christine's exit was betrayal, not bravery. They echo Cody's long-standing belief that the family's unity was shattered by those unwilling to sacrifice for the plural dream. In their eyes, Christine's act of freedom became the spark that set fire to everything they once knew. And then there are those caught in between. Children who love both parents, yet struggle to reconcile the bitterness between them. Their testimony is hesitant, their emotions conflicted. They are the ones who carry the heaviest burden, torn between loyalty and longing, between truth and survival. The prosecution seizes on these divisions, painting a grim picture. Christine's choice, while empowering for herself, left a battlefield behind. Families fractured, siblings distanced, unity destroyed. Was her freedom worth the collateral damage? The defense rises with equal force. They argue that the family was fractured long before Christine left, that her departure simply exposed cracks already running through the foundation. Cody's favoritism, his fixation on Robyn, his dismissive treatment of Meri and Christine. These were the true wrecking balls. Christine's act was not destruction but revelation. Robyn and Cody stand isolated in this final scene. Robyn's tears, Cody's anger, their insistence on being wronged. It resonates with some but alienates many. Their story has shifted from that of a large united family to a couple fighting desperately to preserve an image already shattered. The gavel slams one last time. The courtroom does not deliver a single clear verdict. Instead, it leaves behind a haunting question. Was Christine's journey the story of empowerment or the story of provocation? Was she liberator or instigator? Survivor or strategist? Here at the AMAR Sister Wives, we do not hand down judgments. We illuminate the shadows. We present the whispers, the theories, the testimonies, and leave the decision in your hands. What is undeniable, however, is that the Sister Wives family will never be the same. The trial may end, but the debate rages on. In living rooms, on social media, and deep within the hearts of fans, the jury is forever in session. The curtain falls. The Sister Wives' legacy has been rewritten. Not by Cody, not by Robyn, not even by TLC, but by the choices of Christine, Janelle, and Meri, and the echoes carried by their children. The story is not over. It has only transformed.